come in, a couple of halfbacks have been signed in young Holmes from Featherstone and Matt Frawley, who's coming from the NRL. Reece Butterworth, the hooker. Aquila Uarte is the big signing, and Scott Griggs has come back, plus the pick-up at the end of last year in Suya Matungi. So it's been a pretty hectic off-season for the Giants, but the biggest story has probably been the Danny Brough deal. So let's talk about that first, if that's okay, Joe. What sort of
Yeah,
impact do you think that's going to have on the dressing room, and what do you think this means for the side?
I mean, it's massive, Danny Brough. I started supporting Giants around 2011, 12, that sort of time. And so throughout however long I've supported them,
nothing else.
Exactly, Danny Brough it's been, Mr. Huddersfield Giants. It's a massive player to lose. I think you're right. I think one of the main things you'll lose is his character in and around the squad. I think that'll be the biggest thing to replace from him. But they've probably prepared for it over the last 3-4 years. I know Giants fans have, that he's going to leave at some point because he's getting on in his career. I think it's took everyone by surprise how quick it came and how he's sort of in and out within this season, and then that's it.
So do you think it marks a example of Wolford trying to put his stamp on the side, maybe bringing in a player that he'll know a bit about to run the side from the NRL in Frawley?
Yeah, I think as soon as I heard the deal was going to happen, I thought that's Simon Wolford come in and wants to make his squad his own. And I think that was it. I think the fact that he wants these younger players, or players that he knows, as you say, with Matt Frawley, and I think that's one of their main ones. Yeah.
So one of the things that's been going on kind of generally, Huddersfield have been back in pre-season training for a month now, and all the sort of new players are in place. So what have you been hearing from the coaching setup about what maybe any changes in direction or what they're looking for from next season, and how's the pre-season been going?
I think from whenever I've talked to Simon Wolford and the rest, I think they're really happy with how pre-season's gone at the minute. Some of the new signings, Uarte and Frawley, didn't join just till last week because of visa problems, so they couldn't join till late. But I think what everyone's been saying is that, and all the players have been saying, that they've worked super hard this training, this pre-season. They've never worked harder, apparently. That's one of the main things they've been sort of boosted into them, that they've got to work hard. And I think it's just the fact that they want to keep the momentum from the end of last season going, so they want to hit the ground running in pre-season and then start 2019.
We're in off-season mode still as well, so there's still rumours and chat going on, and the big rumour that surrounds Huddersfield at the moment is the proposed swap deal that's on the table with Castleford for Seb Ikehefo going to Castleford and Joe Wardle coming back to the Giants in the other direction. So what can you tell us about that? Where do you think the Giants are at with that? Is it going to happen?
I mean, I've only ever seen stuff on social media. I've heard nothing from the Giants, but I know for a fact that Simon Wolford said he wanted a couple of outside back additions, and obviously Joe Wardle would fit that, and then with his brother being a Huddersfield as well, I think that'd be a massive thing. But I think Seb Ikehefo going, I've said that name a few times in practice, but for him to go, I think that's a big statement, that, because I know I had the Castleford fan a couple of podcasts ago on there that he was a massive fan of Ikehefo, and I think he'll be a big loss to Giants if he goes. But if Ikehefo goes, it puts a lot of pressure on youngster such as Matty English to come in and 100%, make that position his own.
No, so it's a good point to pick out. He's going to be the replacement. The talk on Ikehefo is that he's one of the bigger earners in the squad, and Huddersfield are looking to trim the squad. My theory on that is that Huddersfield are still looking to maybe reload again for really 2020, when Wolford will maybe have had a year to really shape his squad. Do you think this is a salary cap move to get rid of Ikehefo? Similarly, we've seen probably big earners as well, Mamo, Brough and Hinchcliffe, for different reasons leave the club. But is it a salary cap move, trying to move on Ikehefo? Because like you say, all Giants fans as well like the player, just like Cas fans might be quite excited about potentially getting the man.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Obviously, I think it's just one of the ones. I think obviously Giants aren't in that top tier of teams. So if one of a bigger team with more money comes in and wants on their players, I think they're going to have to not settle for a worse option, because Joe Waddle's no slouch, but obviously I think it's definitely the money is involved in that, and I think that one way to get rid of, or to save a bit of money, is to get rid of a big name player like Ikehefo, and then you're right with people like Mamo and Brough. It's just about getting Simon Wolford his team, and maybe he's got a bit of a lesser budget, and it definitely seems like he's got a lesser budget to work with.
Yeah, and when we're in pushing on through into December now, so the off season, like you've said, is totally underway, and most of the teams look to have done the business now. Is there any other areas that you've heard out of Huddersfield that they might be looking to recruit? Is there any rumours? You mentioned the outside backs. If Ikehefo goes, do they need another prop? Is there any other place they're looking to recruit?
I've had a look. I've had a look online. It doesn't seem to be much. Obviously, the one thing I'd say is, if with Mamo going, you've got obviously the fullback. Grix has come in, but there's whether he's going to be a player or he's going to have a player coach role, that sort of hasn't been decided yet. So maybe a fullback. But then I think one thing Giants are going to look to this year is their academy, because they've got a lot of academy prospects coming through, and the academy did so well last year. I think that'll be the main thing they look for, sort of pre-seasons, to try and get some youth players in the squad. I'm thinking maybe Innes and Louis Senior. I think they'll be in and around the squad, and I think that's what they'll be focusing on this year.
So the depth
is to get some of them. Yeah, I think so. I can't see lots of new additions. Maybe one that might come out right out of the blue, but other than that, I think that's probably about it.
So business is pretty much done. That's great. Where can people find you, maybe on social media and stuff like that, Joe? And where can people read the little bits that you are putting out there, as well as you're going through your sort of studies and all that?
Yeah, at 16 Joe Buck on Twitter, at 16 Joe Buck. Huddersfield Examiner, whenever Earl Crabtree doesn't have his column, I'm filling in between then. So whenever that is, and yeah, and then on Giants' website whenever I'm featured.
That's great. It sounds like you're getting some good experience, and thanks for coming along and being part of this edition of the Super League Pod to talk us through the off-season for the Huddersfield Giants.
Thank you very much.
So, Joe, you mentioned whilst we were talking about the off-season that you're not just a budding journalist, but you're also a Giants fan, and they're your side. So I didn't want to let you go before I gave you a chance to sort of give your prediction for 2019. So Huddersfield last year maybe defied a few expectations and finished in the top half of the table, finished sixth, so mid-table. What do you think Huddersfield are going to do in 2019?
Well, I've got completely claret and gold spectacles on, but I think top five. I think it's definitely reachable. Obviously, I don't know about you, but I don't know how the new playoff system works, to be honest. But
I have like these flashbacks to 20 years ago when the playoffs first came in and we had the same system we've got now, and yeah. I vaguely remember people getting extra games, getting extra chances, and some people getting weeks off. But at the same time, I have to keep looking at the website just like everyone else. Yeah, I do appreciate that. But top five would get you in that playoffs.
Yeah, so I think top five, and I know that a lot of the squad are very much want to win a trophy. That's the main thing that's coming out of the team, is everyone wants to win a trophy, whether that's Challenge Cup, obviously, whether that's the grand final, but they're not going to settle for top five. So I'd like to think top five.
Right, brilliant. That's a really confident prediction. So that's fantastic. We've had a few pessimists on some of the shows, so it's great to have some optimists as well. And thank you again for joining us to talk about the Huddersfield Giants.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, we've got you back now. You started before when we were talking to look a little bit at 2019, and so I'm sensing there's excitement for you for 2019. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about is the new signings that's coming in from the NRL. I mean, Frawley's not a huge name, but there's still some excitement there. But Aquila Uarte is a big name. He's a previous Origin player, previous international player for Australia and for Fiji. So has those sorts of signings created a sense of excitement around the team, around the town, within the fan base?
Definitely. There's a lot of talk about Uarte. I think he's going to do some real damage for us. Frawley, like you said, he's a bit more of a question mark. I think he's definitely got the potential to do well for us, but I just don't know enough about his game. By the sounds of it, he's kind of going to fill the role that we have now. Brough's left. A bit of a general. He's got a good kicking game. I have no idea who's going to kick goals for us, because I think Darnell McIntosh can kick, but he doesn't very often.
Well, he might be playing as well.
We don't know who's going to be fullback.
Jerry.
Yeah. Well, there's talk of him moving to fullback, and Grix, as he's moving into coach role, he's going to be coaching him. I guess it depends if Rankin goes or not. Personally, I'd keep him. I'm not sure why they're trying to get rid, but it seems like he's not in Wolford's long-term plans.
Right. I mean, the sort of the Frawley question is a big one, isn't it? And I did want your take, really, on, are you worried about a lack of leadership within the side, or are you confident that you've still got enough leadership in that side with Danny Brough having gone?
I think we've still got leadership there. I think we've got obviously Leroy Cudjoe's our captain. Michael Lawrence, he's always there to sort of rally people up when we're not doing too well. You might not know because he seems a bit of a quieter presence, but Akuma Tai is a really good leader on the field as well, I think. But there's obviously a big kind of vacuum left in the side by Brough, because he's been running the show for nearly a decade now, as long as I've been watching the club. So it is a very significant change, and there's uncertainty, I'd say. Maybe not concern, just uncertainty.
Just uncertainty, yeah. And I suppose, like you said, there is still a little bit of excitement behind that. Right. One thing I wanted to ask you about is that no team in 2018 that finished in the top 8 scored fewer or conceded more tries than Huddersfield over that season. So what do you think is going to be the main focus for you guys to improve? Where do you think we'll see the improvement first in 2019? Do you think we'll see the improvement in the attack or in the defence?
Well, ideally, I'd like us to have a positive points difference at the end instead of minus 257. I think defence has to come first, because there was a lot of time when we were just kind of defending our line for way too long, and we get off it, we get 20 metres up the field and knock on. So I think defence and just sort of handling is the main thing, and then the tries will come when you've got players like McGilvery and Uati on your wings. They are try scorers. We've got good set of props as well. Like I mentioned Matty English earlier, I think he's going to have a massive season for us. Matungi only played for us for 6 or 7 games, but I really liked what I saw from him.
Oh, definitely.
I think as long as we can keep hold of the ball and actually stick to a game plan, I think attack won't be a problem. We just got to make sure we don't concede and lose 60 points, whatever it was, against Saints and against Wigan.
Yeah, so defence will be what we see the improvement in first. So looking ahead, I know we're talking in December 2018, but looking ahead to 2019, where do you think Huddersfield will be finishing then? What are your wildest dreams then? What's your realistic expectation for 2019?
A treble World Club challenge and a knighthood for Ken Davey. If we're going a bit more realistic, I think we can be in the playoffs at the end of the year. And I know we're not getting a lot of talk from other clubs, and I understand that. But we did play really well for most of the time under Wolford until we kind of quietened off at the end when top 4 wasn't possible anymore. Yeah, we started to let some players rest. But there wasn't a coach I saw look more like relieved and like the job was done way before the end of the season than Wolford in that Super 8s game at Cass. Yeah, well, like I said, he was given the job of trying to avoid relegation. He's like, we might win the league, you never know. But I think if he can do that, if him and Mark Andrews can do that with a team who's bottom of the league and have won 2 of the last 13, with no real time to prepare, not really any room to make your own transfers, I think if they're in charge of a proper pre-season and a few good signings, then we could surprise a lot of people. So I'm going to say 4th.
Wow. And
maybe a good cup run.
Wow. That is genuinely optimistic, so I'm glad that you've had some excitement put back in Huddersfield, and I hope it's replicated across the fan base as well, Mark. And thanks for joining us to talk about Huddersfield Giants this off-season.
Not a problem, thanks for having me on.
Okay, that's great stuff from the pair. If you want to follow them on Twitter, it's Wilco2205 if you didn't already follow Mark, and young Joe at 16 Joe Buck. If he goes on to be as famous as the other Joe Buck on the other side of the pond in sports broadcasting, then you will definitely be able to say you heard him here first on the Super League pod. So good luck to Joe with all that, and thank you all for